Hey, happy Sunday, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Happy Sunday to you all. Hello. Go ahead and see if you can find and share. Oops. Well, greet our guests.
Yeah, doing that right now.
Happy Sunday. Welcome to the House of Chair Girls live show this Sunday, May 21st, 2023. We're excited to be here again as usual. We come with our thoughts, come with what is going on to share with you, to talk about it with you, and to get your perspective, right? We come here for conversations, and we are happy to be here again. Hope you had an amazing last week, and if not, again, stay positive and look forward. Speak a good week into your life, and let's see how the coming week goes. Thank you again once more for joining. I see we have someone watching. Please send us some love, pump us some hearts, and if you don't mind sharing with us where you're watching from, we are always willing to talk with our guests. So thank you so much for being here with us. It's when we are good with the sharing, then we can go ahead and kick off, and the rest of our listeners can join us.
Yeah, I'm just sharing the link right now. Mm, let me see.
Great.
Okay, one more second.
Awesome. Thank you for joining. Happy Sunday.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining and happy Sunday. I hope you're having a great time. And it's always a pleasure to be here in this space to talk about the things that we care about and to share our perspective and get your own side of the story. So that's what we'll be doing here today, as usual.
Yep. Awesome. So if you take a second and just look at the description, we what do we say there? What are we talking about today? Up there it says, you are your own fault. How do we take responsibility for the things in our lives, right? So today we want to talk about owning our lives. We want to talk about being able to take responsibility for the things that happen to us. We want to be able to have a conversation around being able to pick what to let bother you and how you can let go of some of the things that do not really matter. We also want to have the opportunity to talk about how you can identify some of the issues that your peers, right, your friends, it could be your family, your friend, your partner. Sometimes we deal with people and we fail to, or we are not able to identify what is happening with them. We realize that you're with someone that is always bitter, or someone that always feels like they are in the bad place, someone who always feels like they are the victim. I'm sure that somehow, somewhere, we've heard of the word the victim mentality, right? How can we identify this like victim mentality? Before, what are some of the causes of this victim mentality, and how can we work on it, right? How can we get past this place where we are always looking at ourselves as the victim? And one of the reasons we want to talk about this today is because it plays a big role in your life as a person, in your personality. Because sometimes you just feel like, hey, the world is against me. Everyone else is in a better place than except me. And those are the kind of things that put a damp cloth on our growth, no, any kind of growth. It could be your mental growth, your physical growth, anything, spiritual, financial. When you continuously feel like, hey, you are the one that is not being treated well, or you're the victim, there is a tendency that you don't grow. And even if you grow, you don't see it. And so we just want to throw our thoughts on this a little bit today. And get your thoughts as well. Remember, we come here with our opinions and we don't come to set anything on stone. We talk about what we know. Eyes and I, we the two of us, the hosts here, we still disagree on certain things. But the whole idea here is for us to share our thoughts, pick it back on little on other people's ideas, learn and move on. So again, we appreciate you for joining us. We are grateful that you create the time to come be with us. Pump up some hearts if you're watching, and let's kick this off. Awesome, Eyes. I did the introduction. Again, I know you always want to say your hi after the intros. So go ahead and say your eyes and let's kick right in.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining the show. It's always a pleasure to have you here every Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon, depending on what part of the world you are currently. But then today we're talking about, as Solange mentioned, the victim mentality. And sometimes we find ourselves in such spaces or in such scenarios where we're not in most of the time we're not even conscious of that, and we don't know the stories or the reasons. We have not identified those reasons that push us to that place of playing a victim, that victim syndrome. So today we'll be talking about that.
Awesome. Thanks again, Ice. So in order to tackle this in a way that will be easy to digest, we've decided to break it down into three main parts, right? So as you're listening to us, we are going to be looking at this we'll look at some of the causes of this whole victim mentality. Like what are some of the things? And again, remember, this is not an exhaustive list. It is more of like what we can identify and talk about. So we're going to look at some of the causes of victim mentality. We're also going to go ahead and look at how this can be identified, right? Sometimes you're with someone and you don't even know that that's what they're struggling with. You will see, you'll just feel like, forget that one. She's always complaining. Oh, forget that one. Oh, that one. He's never satisfied with anything. So we want to be able to talk about it in this light, look at how to identify these victim mentality situations, and also go and how can we take care of it, right? It is no use coming to identify these things, talk about the causes, and not talk of how we can remedy it. So we'll be talking about some of the ways that we can remedy this the whole concept of victim mentality, or this whole space, this little bubble that some of us put ourselves in that really restricts us in life. So, Ice, let's kick this off with some of the courses. I'm going to throw that out at you. What do you think are some of the courses? Again, go ahead and talk about what you think, then I can pick it up again and talk on certain points. So let me throw it back at you. What do you think could be some of the causes of victim mentality in people?
Um, First of all, I want to put it out there that it's not terrible if you find yourself in such a bubble. It's just knowing that you're in that bubble and not helping yourself out of it, that is the problem. But being in that bubble is not a problem. So some of the reasons why we see people play this victim mentality or they have the victim syndrome is the past traumas that they've gone through. So people maybe have gone through a lot of disappointments, maybe death, maybe they've failed in businesses, they've failed in relationships, they were traumatized in their relationships. So all of these aspects, you find such people, they'll always want to put themselves in such a bubble to say, hey, it's because of this trauma that I went through. It's because of the hard times that I'm facing. That's why I am playing this victim. That's why nothing is my fault. That's why it is their fault and not my fault. Also, lack of clarity when you're in any kind of relationship, your business relationship, your marriages, your love, in what sexual relationships, all types of relationships. If you don't have clarity of what you're expected to get out of it, some of those things that you expect to see within, if it's a business relationship, what is my percentage of the profit? What of all of those things? So you need clarity. So without clarity, you'll find yourself playing that victim. And also, because people lack self love and they have that low self-esteem, they always feel like everybody else do have a better life than they are. So you find such people with low self-esteem, they always play that victim. No, it is because of
Looks like we just lost Ice in the middle of her sentence. She will be joining us back. And yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so I don't know. I left my phone on do not disturb any round. Um so those are some of the factors. As I said, it's not an exhaustive.
That's right. It is not an exhaustive list, what we're talking about here. But considering, let's talk a little bit about, let's put a little bit of light on one of the things that you mentioned, the clarity part. While you're talking about or something just came to my mind, especially in the business line. It is common when you see people have a business, right? People decide to come together and invest in something. If you do not have clarity, let's say it's three, like for example, we say three people have come together and have decided to invest in something. If you, let's say I'm person number three, I do not have enough clarity. I do not know how how we're going to hit our profit margins. What are some of the outcomes that we're expecting from this business? What are the, like again the return on investment?
Investment.
Yes, all of that information. If you don't have that clarity, the tendency is you find yourself in a place where you'll feel like the other people know more or they're doing better than you. And I believe that that will only happen if you give yourself the opportunity to understand what is happening. You give yourself the opportunity to get a whole 360 degrees of, hey, this is our business. I am as involved in this business as the other two partners. I bet that it's going to take away this whole some of these complaints that we hear. A quick kickback on that is the fact that sometimes you see people have make a business, people are in a business venture, right? Somebody is doing real well, they have the same percentage of profit and everything. But depending on how that person is using their own profit they're making on there, the person might seem to be doing better than the others, right? And what happens is again, you hear maybe the person that doesn't make use of their profit well will be like, oh, that man is probably doing something fishy. How come he's able to do all of these things and we cannot do it? And you just start feeling like, hey, that person is probably doing more or probably doing something fishy in the whole business venture. And again, it just makes the whole idea here is just to help you get out of that place where you feel like everybody is, the world and the people around you are against you, right? Take you away from that place where it feels like everyone else is doing something, but you cannot do it because you are limited. And we want to be able to get to this to the point where we feel like, hey, we have the same opportunities. We have, especially if we are all, none of us has a specific disability. We are all, and again, I don't even want to go into the disability part of it, but we all have the same opportunities. We have the same resources. How are we using them? And to not fail to use your own resources, then feel like the world is against you. So we want to be able to move away from that and take responsibility of the things that we let affect us and of the things that we do for ourselves, right, Ice? I just wanted
Yeah,
us to,
I have, yeah, let me add something to that before I forget.
yeah.
And given the fact that we're talking about this right now, a big one is social media.
Oh,
Social media is a big one, right? Because remember, people always put the best part of them out there, right? Not the worst part. Like, I am super tired right now. I've had a photo shoot since yesterday. I've been busy since yesterday. I wasn't able to put makeup, but I really want to put on my makeup so that I look sharp on this piece, but I'm tired. So people will not come and put that part of them they don't like on the social media. I look at him like, oh, they are living the best life. How come they can make it? And I also, as I always say, most of the things about social media is fake, right? You find people who just come into that space and, hey, I went out for dinner in this nice restaurant and post that on the social media and you feel like that's how they live every day and you start like, oh my God, why is my life so terrible? Why can't I go out to have dinners in such restaurants? Why can't I take vacations to fly out of the country, go to Thailand, go to all of these fancy resorts around the world? Maybe they're using their credit cards, maybe somebody's paying for it, so you don't know. So before you even get to that space and saying, why is my life not as good as others? You want to understand that, hey, people put the best part of them out there. not what they're going through, not their problems, not their traumas, not the issues they are facing in their businesses or their marriages and all of that.
Yep, and that's true. Does that will you blame anyone who doesn't put that out? So it is a responsibility of you, the person out here watching, the viewer, right, the spectator. It is
Mm,
your responsibility to pick and choose the things that you let affect you. I have all the rights in the world to come online and only show the best part of my life. It doesn't mean that I don't have a shitty part, right? It is just that responsibility. Like, hey, you know what? I choose not to worry about this. I choose not to be bothered about how other people live their lives. And hey, I see a good ton of people watching. Thank you Paul, so much for joining. We appreciate you for coming on. My bones, I see you. Welcome to the show. And I see a comment from Positive Mind Charles. Charles says, if you want to change something about yourself, you need to be willing to take full responsibility for yourself, of course. And that is the summary of what we're talking about here today. Taking full responsibility, making your choices, deciding what you want to affect you as a human being, right? And again, thanks again for that comment, King. I think that's very much in place. And I wanted us to expatiate a little bit more again on the whole lack of self love and self esteem, right? And the reason I want us to talk, I was actually going to expatiate on this a little bit more on the social media part, but the whole when you don't love yourself, we go around, we've seen a lot of this whole self-love, hashtag self-care that has been a little bit more popular within the last like 2019 when COVID hit till now. There's been a lot of whole self-care, self-love propaganda that is being I call it propaganda, but yeah, that is being pushed out there. What does that mean to you, right? As a person, it depends on the values you have for yourself, right? You some people self-care means that they should go out and go to all those holidays, all the vacation, and do all the things that they are doing. But to another person, self-care is their mental stability, their mental clarity, like, hey, what do I want for myself? So being able, when somebody goes online and they post, hey, self-love, self-care 2023, they are somewhere in the Bahamas, or they are somewhere in Haiti, or somewhere in Miami, enjoying life, traveling the world, and you look at that to be like, oh, this person probably has more self-love for themselves than you. I think that that's where that's where I consider people like that to be in that victim mentality space, because you're victimizing yourself. You're making it feel like that other person is better than you because they can do all of those things. There are a ton of things that you can also do that those people don't do. And that's why, again, as much as we can, the goal here is to help people step out of that victim spot. Like, hey, everyone else is better. Everyone else is so not everyone else, but like, hey, my friend is better. My friend is doing this. Work on yourself and do your own thing. Take responsibility of the place where you are in life and work towards the things that make you happy. Right?
yeah, that's right. So, so if I understand clearly, you asked a question that what does self-love mean to me?
Yeah.
Um, Really, self-love for me, when I even got to that space of when I started thinking about self-love, I did not even understand what that really meant. What does it mean to love yourself? Which is a good thing till today, something I'm still working on, because some days I'm like, what can I do to feel better? But I always believe that the first part is just knowing that, hey, you need to work on yourself, acknowledging that there is a problem, there is an issue that I need to handle. So for me personally, self-love for me is having the ability to do things without pressure. That's a big one, without the pressure of society. Is the ability to be able to feed my body well, take care of this physical part. But the greater part for me is my ability to be able to connect with the world in a very spiritual way. I'm Christian, I'm Catholic, still have that belief, like trust in God, know that there is a bigger power above all of these things, trust the process of my current situation of my life, and be able to have that patience to wait for things to happen to me accordingly without comparing with others. My physical part is something that I've been doing since I was a child. So it's not by going to the gym that I feel like I'm taking care of myself. Looking the way I look right now is something that I was doing before even getting that vibe of, hey, there is this trend, love yourself is by going to the gym and looking fit. So that is not something that I even think about. I don't think going to the gym and working out for me, it's a way of life that has been there since. All of you, you know, that's my way of life before even traveling out of the country. But having where I really realized, when I realized that I had to connect, there is more to life, was when I started meditating, when I went to therapy, and I'm like, hey, I need to take care of my mental state. That ability to sit calm and still be able to be satisfied, lie on my couch and rest over the weekend and still be happy. Even if I look at social media and I see my friends going out there, going crazy in lounges and taking vacations, but having that not disturb me, I feel like I've gotten to that space that I really like right now. But it's a continuous process. I have to continuously work on myself, knowing that this is a process. My time will come while I'm clapping for others that are making it. So,
Yeah, that's good. You say that because you have taken the time to understand what self-love is, right?
yeah.
You have not just taken that whole concept of propaganda. And that's the reason I call it propaganda, because a lot of people just hear, hey, self-love, and they're putting pictures, hashtag self-love. They don't know shit. They don't know what that means. If you ask them what that means to them, they cannot say what it is, like how deep you have gone. And that is why we want to be able to talk about these things and help. Like, hey, if that is something that you've been talking about, if you've been one of those people that hashtag self-love your pictures, just take some time, think about it. What is this self-love to you? How does it help you? How does it make you not feel like someone else is better than you, right? So
But Solange, not to cut you short, I still believe the people who are doing the hashtag, they're in the process of getting to that space.
I'm
So
not.
it's a process. I just want to acknowledge that it's a process.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
it's a
In this
process.
process, just understand what it is and keep working on it instead of just hashtagging it without taking the time to think about it, right?
Yeah,
Believe that
yeah.
it's a process. Okay. Agreed, Eyes. I see a comment from Vali. Thank you so much for joining, Big Bro. And he says, you cannot compare yourself with others without knowing the entirety of their story. Solange sold salad in Boya and left for Germany a short while later. Charlene also sold salad and left for Germany. Let me add that too. Ice took salad business from Boya to Yaoundé before she left for Germany, right? Someone can go start selling salad in Boya, and when Germany is not coming their way, they start blaming their village people. But you see this, and again, I know that a couple of people have asked me this whole thing, like, hey, how did you get you went to Germany with and your younger sisters also went to Germany to do their masters, and now you are in the US. And for some reason, you're going to feel like, oh, what is it? What did they do? Nada, nothing. I went to Germany under a scholarship. I was at the University of Köln. Charlene came to Germany, not because I did anything or whatever. She applied to a university in Germany and she did not have a scholarship. So my big brother, Vali, here paid his black tax and helped us. Charlene was in Germany, did her master's, and Ice came the same way. Ice, did you have a scholarship?
No, I was paid tuition thanks to those boys, the chair boys.
Yeah, you see, so you see, again, my family, they've done a lot of black tax on us, black tax payment on us, and that is it. And again, found their ways to the US separately, everybody their own hustle through school and everything. So someone will sit and say, hey, that potentially get some road and feel like, hey, the sun is not shining on their roof. It's hustle. It is hustle, straight up hustle. Our story is straight up hustle. Right. So again, big way, but someone will sit and feel like, oh no, they're village people. Village people. I guess we have village people too, but the God we serve is bigger than the village people, right?
Amen.
So thank you so much for that comment. I see Carol. Can you see comments? You know, I don't like
Yes, Auntie Carol says, good. Thanks for joining. This is the first time. Please bring Uncle Steve to online as well. These are my Maryland people. Good explanation, Ice. A lot of people live others' lives. Lack of a lot of fakeness. That's true. And then Positive Charles goes on ahead and said, there is an expiring date on blaming your parents for steering you
in the
in
wrong.
the wrong direction. The moment you are old enough to take the wheel, responsibility lies with you. Excellent. I love that.
Oh my God,
Yes,
King,
that's
you
true.
hit it so hard.
Yeah.
And this brings together all that whole concept of people like, oh, I'm here because my parents, right? I'm here because my father made me do this. Oh, I cannot grow in life because my father, oh, my big brother said instead of studying this, I should study this. And that is why I cannot become a better person in life. This is somebody in their 30s talking, right? Oh, the reason I am not this kind of person in life today is because my parents did this. We
Mm-hmm.
hear that a lot, like a whole lot. And so, King, your comments here has just taken care of that whole aspect of it, right? Things will continue to happen to us. Growing up, we have experienced things. We went through different kinds of experiences, different kinds of things. So I don't even want to start enumerating these things. We had tons of different experiences that could actually impact the way we look at life today, right? But do you let those experiences determine what kind of life you want to live? Or do you use those experiences as a lesson, right? Do you let those experiences define your today? Or do you use those experiences as a lesson to get to where you in your heart want to be? Right. So that is just that whole comment there, just it holds together most of the things we're talking about today. So positive mind, thank you so much for chiming in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those we talked about the causes, eyes. Let's go
Mm.
ahead a little bit. Let's shift gears and talk about how we can identify these things. How do we identify all of this? Again, if you're hanging out with your friends, just listening to them, or with your siblings, or again with your colleagues and stuff, how do you identify the people, this victim mentality crew, right? And one of the reasons is it's important to know how to identify them is because you can help them. We
Mm-hmm.
don't identify people. We don't see these things to judge people because, as I mentioned earlier on, it is okay to find yourself in that spot. Some of the things that happen to us in life is not of our making, but what do you do about it? And that's why it is nice to be able to identify this thing in people and see how you can help them. Actually, today when I was driving to church, there is something I heard over my radio station that has just been with me, and I think I can throw that in here. They say something as, we don't want to judge as humans, right? We want to try our best to judge people less. I know for sure I find myself judging people, right? In my head, even if I don't speak it out in my head, I'm like, it's a human thing. But if we can work on judging people less, right? Loving people more, giving out more love out there, and also be able to forgive faster, we'll realize that things are, again, just within you. You'll be able to find that happy spot. Just within you, you'll be able to, because being able to take responsibility of the things that happen in your life ties a lot with how you feel about yourself. And it also ties back a lot to what we just talked about, self love, hashtag self love, self care, right? If we are able to judge less, to give out more love, and to forgive people faster, I think that it's going to help us see ourselves in a better place, thereby reflecting a good light to the people around us and just making the world a better place. Right. So we want to talk a little bit more. We want to talk a little bit about how we can identify victim mentality in people. But before I go to that, Ice, can you please take Ari Parker's comments? Thank you for joining, Ari Parker Tutu.
She said, village people, I've recently learned to be selfish. Me first, because if I'm not okay mental and physical, then I cannot be the best self. I cannot I cannot be my best self for my family and friends. Yes, that's true.
Definitely.
Sometimes it's good to be selfish with yourself sometimes, like, hey, can you hang out with me? No, I want to stay in and rest. No, I'm about to hit the gym. No, I want to study. That is the kind of selfishness she's talking about here. I think so.
And you just talked about no. Yes, of course. That no that you just talked about. We've
Yeah,
had an episode here where
yeah,
we try to talk about the power of no,
yeah.
being able to say no, right? I think that we need to talk about it in another episode. The power of no. Just by listening to you say that, that was like months ago. The instances I found myself in where no saved me are just, I cannot number them.
Yeah.
I want us to be able to talk about that at some point. I'm not going to start talking about it now because it would derail us. But that
Yeah.
ability to say no, we want to bring that as a topic on one of our episodes and talk about it. So let's go ahead and talk about how to identify victim mentality in our peers. You want to pick that ice, please?
Yeah, so how, do you have so before I even get there, please share, like, and comment, send your own. How do you before I even start listing some of those ways in which we can identify those victim mentality people who play the victim all the time, please drop that in the chat. So one of those ways in which you can identify them, do you have somebody in your life that always complains about everything? Nothing satisfies them. Everything is a problem. They'll complain about, no, the water was not cold enough, it was lukewarm. They go to the restaurant, the potatoes was not well mashed. Like everything, nothing is ever their fault. So if you have somebody, I know people like that, I just stay away from them. If I try to help and I can't, I stay away from them. And then those people who never make mistakes, they are like martyrs, they are saints, they never make mistakes. Nothing is ever their fault. Another way in which you can identify them, somebody, as we talked about it earlier, that will never take responsibility of, who never, those people that will never say, I'm sorry, it wasn't my fault. It's because of this, that's why I said this. It's because of this, that's why I acted the way I did. Of course, there can be a reason. You can be triggered to perform, to act in a certain way, but that action doesn't make it right. You still need to say, hey, I know that I acted this way, which is not really correct. I apologize for that, but I wish this never triggered me, which doesn't still make sense. Just apologize and move on, right? So those are some of the ways in which you can actually identify those people. Then we have people who are just passively aggressive in a very subtle way that they will, you see they'll act like they're angry, but they'll bring up scenarios of anger that will show anger, but they will never accept that they're angry. No, I'm not angry. But they keep complaining. I'm not angry. It's okay. I'm not angry. That doesn't make me sad. But you see that coming in, that passive aggressive way of doing things. So those are just few of the ways in which you can identify people who play that victim mentality all the time. So drop yours in the chat. If you have no other ways in which we can identify such people, please drop it in the chat.
Yep, awesome. And I see King's comment say, I think that was when we're talking about being able to say no. And I see a comment from Positive Mind. He says, like, what I did this weekend. You think everybody on Facebook knows your life? Yes. Yes, like what you did this weekend. That's because I know what you're talking about. But that is very much in place. So yes, we're talking about how we can identify victim mentality. And as it was something we talked about earlier, like being able to, when we talk about people who are addicted to drama. Do I love me some drama? I don't know, right? Identify as someone who loves drama. I don't think so. I don't know. But if I were to put myself somewhere, I definitely will not say yes to that. But maybe another person will say it. But that is also another place where you can identify. Like people are always like, hey, what happened? Hey, you know what it, like always ready to, they call it to choke fire, right?
Yes. There's a word we use while we're in fact. I forgot to.
Oh God.
I don't know if my some friends are here. Like those people that they're always very excited when something chaotic is happening. They're like, oh my God, let me go hang out. Let's go get the gist. Things like that. Those people, it's crazy.
There's again. Yeah, so we want to be able to see these things when we identify things like this in people. Again, the whole idea here is not just to identify. We want to be able to identify, not judge them, but help them, right? How can you help, right? I'm stirring the pot kind of people, right? To like pouring more more fuel onto a flame, just helping to make things escalate. Yep, those kind of people. Yeah, so how can we help these people? I think that this is the part we're getting into a three-quarter part of our show. How can we help these people? How can we help them get out of that victim mentality bubble? You get it? Someone says in the comments, Stanley is
Hey,
a
that's my buddy. Hey, Stanley, you're welcome. Thanks for joining the show. Please share.
he says he was called Catalyst.
Yes.
Catalyst. Yeah. So yeah, how can we help? This is where again I say, how can we? If you have someone in your life that you know, somebody you know that is always in the spot, like, oh God, the reason I'm not doing this is because of this. People always find reasons. People are always ready to identify why they failed to do something. All right. Or when I look at that, I look at those sides. I want to look at it more in the light of those people who feel that because something happened to them, which is in the past, that thing, even though it is no longer happening, is restricting them from becoming their best versions. Right? How can you help people like this? Because if you have that kind of person in your life and you've listened to us today, I bet that it makes your mind, it tickles your mind to be able to say, oh, this is probably what that person is suffering from. Like I call it suffering because I bet you that victim mentality is not a place you want to be. It is
Yeah.
very limiting, very limited. It limits you a lot as a human being, right? So how do
Yeah.
you help this kind of people? Nice. Again, I always throw it back at you.
Yeah, how do we help these kind of people? First of all, you need to be able to, if you have such a family member, a friend, for some time, like if you successfully identify that this person has this victim syndrome, you want to first of all give them room and call that out, not in a very from a judgmental standpoint. Like just say, hey, I think there's something wrong. Maybe the trauma you faced with your business, with your relationship, I think is affecting you. Maybe because you did not succeed in this particular path in life, I think that's affecting you. Maybe you want to seek help. And now we're talking help because it's not even our culture to do that. How do we even handle that? I don't know. How do we even help such a person? Say the person is back in Cameroon and they don't have access to things like therapy. How do we help such a person? Drop those in the chat. I don't know how to do that because we are always coming from that place of corrective. Like I want to correct them. And this is what you should do. We don't even propose most of the time as Cameroonians or Africans. Like our parents will be like, if you do this, this is what is going to turn up in your life. If you do this, or your elder brother, your auntie, all of those. But then when that person acknowledges that, hey, this is what I'm doing, maybe they want to forgive themselves. Like, forgive yourself. The things that happened in your past, yes, even if they are your responsibility or not, forgive yourself for that, for all of those things, and forgive the people who did you wrong. It's very important. We say we can forgive and not forget. I believe in forgiving, trying to forget, but I'll verify the next time when I need to deal with you. I trust, but I verify. So you want to be able to forgive yourself and forgive those people. It is going to bring you into a better space. Then, also, depending on your religion, pray about those situations, pray for yourself. It's very important for us to pray for ourselves. Most of the time, I go praying and I pray just for others sometimes, which is good. Pray for yourself, and if you can meditate. Having is something that I've experienced. If you can sit and be quiet for like 5 minutes without distractions. Just sit down, not lying in your bed because you can fall asleep. Like sit with your legs on the floor, your butt on the floor for like 5 minutes every day. Don't try not to think about anything. That's how you start learning how to meditate. That quiet moment, it centers you, it grounds you down. So that's one of the ways in which you can do it. And also you want to look, it works for me. I have my Victor mantra. So I tell myself, if you're my friend and you can see my status, I get up in the morning and I put it almost every day. Today is gonna be a great day. That's my mantra. I use it for myself. Today is going to be a great day for me. I don't care what happens in the world. I'm going to ensure that this day is great no matter what happens. So look for that mantra that works for you and say it out to yourself. People say, look into the mirror and tell yourself, I'm great, I'm this, I'm that. If it works for you, go ahead and do that. Each time I want to do something that I feel nervous about it, I'll be like, I can do this. I can do this. Then I start telling myself, what's the worst that can happen? This is a learning process. So those are the things, that's how I talk to myself. And then it gives me the ability to take action, knowing that even if I fail, you know what? I'll not just fail, I've learned from this situation. So those are the things that work for me. I don't know what's working for you, but those are just a few that I consciously do in order to put myself in a better space.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Eyes. I see a comment from Vali, and again, that is how I was thinking more in that light. So let me take his comment. He says, a simple solution to help people take responsibility and accept consequences. And he goes on, if your father or mother dies in a car crash on the day you're supposed to sit for your certification exams, and as a consequence, you cannot take the exam, what grade do you get? What do you get, Eyes?
God, that is not something that I had this conversation with Charlene the other day. We were talking about that. I'm like, I am so scared of that. Right? I don't think I'm ready for that. So that's not something that I naturally think about. I don't naturally think about that because the thought of that puts me in a space where I just become nervous. And I was talking with my friend about this the other day. I'm like, have you ever thought about this happening to your parent? He was like, don't go there. I don't want to think about it. So we are still somebody like me. I'm not even ready to talk about it. So what if it happens? So I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know. I
The
don't
way you
know.
get is that again, you get you of course if you didn't sit for the exams, right? You did not
I
sit
don't
for
know.
the consequence. So what do you do after that? And again, Vali, go ahead and send us a follow up to clear this up. But the way I look at it is, what do you do? From my understanding, you fail, you don't sit for the exams, you get a failed grade, right? The point here is that you would have failed, of course, irrespective of the circumstances. It is about accepting the consequences. Yes, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. So yes, you did not sit for the exam, so definitely you have failed. Something happened, and this is a consequence of that action, right? Again, that whatever happened was not your fault. So sometimes things will happen to us that are not our fault, right? You gave the first example of a remedy to accept, to forgive ourselves, which is true, right? In some cases, some of those things that we live on, that we continue to pull, let's say, depending on the kind of, for example, you might have lived a kind of a reckless life before and something happened. And today you keep being the victim because of that kind of life you lived previously. This is where we call on you to forgive yourself. Pray about it and forgive yourself. You cannot turn back the hands of time and erase that whatever you did. But the truth is that you can forgive yourself and ask whoever you believe in. In our case, I'll ask God for forgiveness. And I believe that He does forget, He does forgive. Right. But now in this case, this is not even your fault. Your parents having a crash had nothing to do with you. It was not your fault. But then you failed your exams. What happens? You still have to take responsibility, right? You're going to deal with the consequences of you not sitting for that exams because your parents were involved in an accident, and you have to take responsibility. The responsibility here now could be anything. Could be you making out the time to retake that exam, or saying that, hey, the reason I never took that exam is because my parents died, and you live with it. And somebody will ask you, hey, today, man, how come? Why are you not a medical? Why are you not a medical doctor? Man, I'm not a medical doctor today because when we're about to write the final exams in medical school, I lost my parents. That is victim mentality. That is victim mentality. We cannot let the
Yeah.
people affect us to control our lives, to determine our future. We need to accept the consequences and take responsibility. Thank you so much, Vali. That was a good one. And I see another comment. Ice, you want to take that?
Let me take Joe Barra's comment. Forgiveness is something you do for you. Forgiveness is something you do for yourself and not for others. If you can never forget, but remembering the pain should not make you feel the pain. When you look at a scar, you don't feel the pain, even if you remember the incident that gave you that scar.
Jobara Stanley, this thing you said can put you in trouble. Some people hate to hear that, but that is very, very true. A lot of people, let me call them the non-conservatives, they don't like to hear this thing you just said. Your scar should not make you feel that pain. It can remind you of what happened, but let that scar not put you back in that pit hole. Scars are there for a reason. They are not there to determine our future. They are there because sometimes when you look at them, you go back to that lesson. If you're not one person who lets your scar take you back into a pit, then you have a problem. You should work on it. There is
Yeah,
a
I
lot
always say,
more around
I'll,
comments that I don't even want to break into it, but just that comment alone carries a lot of non-conservative thoughts in them. But thank you so much for sharing that. Sorry I cut you.
yeah, I always say, make your scar your star. As we say, we look the way you look at something, something bad happened to you, you can look at it differently. Hey, this business failed. Now I know exactly what not to do.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe I was doing carrying out a physical action and I fell down and I hurt myself. I know the step not to take. I try not to take that very step. Maybe I was in this relationship, I saw the red lights and I didn't want to get out. Now I know exactly when I should leave a particular relationship if I identify this red lights, all of these, or red flags. Sorry, I always say red lights. I don't know why. Red flags. So you know exactly, make your scar your star.
Yep.
Look at it from that direction.
Awesome. When I see a comment about that, now I'll take that comment. I'll go back to Ari Parker's comment. And Valis says, scars should not take you back to the pain, but should serve as a reminder not to make the same mistakes. Right?
Yeah.
Yes. So again, this all ties up to that. Like some people live on scars. Some people look at scars and not go to school because that scar was given to them on the day they wanted to go to school and someone hit them and they'll never go to school again because of that scar. A lot of people, that's just an example, but that a lot of people today live their lives like that throughout. And then again, this is just a call out. And I see a comment from Ari Parker. She says, there are a lot of Tutu, why are you affected? Why are you attacking motivational speakers? She says, there are a lot of motivational speakers on YouTube, people who don't even have access to therapy that they can listen to. Why are you affected? Why are you attacking motivational speakers, Toots? And she also says you need to essentially be the captain of your own life. Blame game can only work for so long. Yep, that blame game is another way to call out victim mentality. Yes.
Yeah.
Same.
I was reading an article this morning on when we said we're going to talk about this. I just went to do a little bit of research. I read an article from John Edward from Stanford University. They did a research on this, and he mentioned something that the blame game is the victim's repertoire. I like that phrase. I was like, oh, that's a good way to look at it. Yep. So that comment reminded me of that sentence that I read this morning. So
always blaming other people for the things that happen around us and happen to us. So we are getting to 50 minutes, which is our around when we round up the show. But I see a comment from Positive Mind. Can you see that, please? Can you take it?
No, I don't see that comment.
Yeah, okay, let me take it. So I see a comment from Positive Mind, and he says, a powerful position demands great responsibility, man of words. Learning to accept your duty and fulfilling our responsibility, all true signs of a leader. In order to embark on your life's choices and decisions, one must learn to be responsible. A human being with a sense of right and wrong will have a better understanding of life. Yes, King, man of words. So true. I agree with you on that. I mean, it all boils down to the whole taking responsibility and living life on our basis, right? If you have to live life on your basis, if you want to live the life you want for yourself, I'm not sure how you can do that without taking responsibility. And there is something, I says close this with this final thought. There is something that I read on your younger sister's status a while ago, and she said she decides on what, like she makes a choice. I think it was a diagram. Like, hey, these are the things that I let impact me, that impact my day as a human being. You see, these other things that are out of this circle, none of those, it is my duty, my responsibility to choose whether to let those things impact me or not. Right. I did see that on her status, and I think that it was a really good. I think that it was a good thing. If you're one person, I was driving with a friend once, and we saw something happen on the road. Right, there was a driver that was dozing off. Man, we spoke about that man for almost 2 hours of that drive because I was like, hey, he was like, that man should not be on the road. Let him get out of the road. And I argued back, I fought back, and I was like, you don't know what is happening to that man. You don't know where he's coming from. You don't know what is happening that he's sleeping. And he threw it back at me and said, no matter what, he shouldn't be on the road because, and you'll be surprised at how far that argument took us, right? This is us spending 2 hours of our lives talking and about something that we have no control over. We couldn't pull that man over and say, hey, get out of the car, you're sleeping. We cannot do that on the highway somewhere in Tennessee. No. But we let that affect us. We talked about it, disagreed about it, brought up things that were not even related, argued and stuff. So those are things that do not directly impact us at that moment because we are driven past and we pulled it back and we're talking about it. A lot of us experience these kinds of things. We let the things that do not matter, the things that do not have any direct impact on our lives, determine our relationships, determine how we live our lives, our situations. So my goal, the only point I'm making here is take responsibility, pick and choose the things that matter to you, right? Take responsibility of the actions you take. If you do something, be rest assured that if that thing backfires, you're going to take responsibility. If I decide today to remove $20,000 and put somewhere, and something happens and that money goes down the drain, I shouldn't be blaming whoever talked me into doing that. I should be blaming myself for letting myself do that without doing my due diligence. We need to be able to take responsibility of our actions and stop blaming every other thing around us. And those are my final words. And that is all I have to say.
Your final words. Great. So, for all of you that have been watching us online, thank you very much. It's always awesome. So, today, what my final words, please live your life so well because the time I'm reading a book right now called on Theater, something like that. I'll post the link here to this. I'll add it to that comment section today. It reminds us of every moment that we live in this world because most of the time we thinking of what others think about you takes away the joy of life. Live your life like there is no tomorrow. Live your life, live your best life now because guess what? There is tomorrow, the most precious thing, the most precious thing of life is time. So enjoy this time. Don't play a victim. If something happens, forgive yourself first, not for the person, but for you, as Joe Barra mentioned, and move on. If you want something for yourself, go out there and hustle. You see all these people who are making it out there. Yes, most of the people, I know that everybody is not genuine, but people are out here working their asses off. Go out there and hustle. When you put in the work and you're genuine, I believe that God is going to bless you. Because the only thing you see out there with me is my best pictures, my best videos. Once in a while, you see me here without makeup, but I put the best part of myself out there. Last night I was hustling, taking pictures, everything, but you don't know that part. When I'm struggling, coming back home, I'm tired, all of that. You don't know that part. You don't know the part where I sit, I go to the library, I study all weekend. You don't know that part. So please go out there and hustle for yourself. Be selfish with yourself and treat yourself. Go and live your best life and have fun. There is no time to waste.
Yep. I see a
There's
final
no time.
comment. I want us to take his final comment as well. I think it's a good one. I see a final comment for last word from Valim. And he says, there are people who have made it in life and those who have made it on social media. Never confuse the two. However, never judge. People who find happiness from social media judge. Sorry, people who find, I'm already laughing at God, sorry. People who find happiness from social media success, bless them.
Bless them.
For those who strive to make it in the real world, good for them. To everyone, his or her
Oh,
own. Right.
bam.
Those are great last words. Thank you so much, Grandfair. We appreciate you for always joining and for always sharing your thoughts. Esmange, we see you too, even though you did not say anything, but I see your love. I see the hearts you're pumping. And thank you all again. I gave my last words already. I should stop talking.
Yes. So thank you all. Have fun. Have a blessed week ahead of you. Enjoy this time. Enjoy next week. Tell yourself every day that this day is going to be great. Choose your fights. Choose your happiness and make life fun for you first before any other person. We love you all. We appreciate every like, every comment, every share that you drop here. We don't take that for granted. We love you and be kind to each other.
Yep. And bye-bye.
Bye.